Charles Oliveira vs Rafael Fiziev is official for the main event of UFC Fight Night on October 11th in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. This is exactly the kind of Fight Night main event we like to see: high stakes, contender relevant, and with a real storyline behind it. But while it's exciting, it also feels like it might be too soon of a return for Oliveira. Oliveira is coming back just 3 months after suffering the most violent knockout of his career against Ilia Topuria. Now he's stepping in against another dangerous striker in Fiziev, who has the speed, power, and technique to put him away again. That's a big risk, especially for a guy who's already taken a lot of knockout damage in his career. But here's the thing, Oliveira asked for this fight. From what he said, the opponent wasn't the main priority, it was the location. He wants to fight in Brazil, in front of his people, for the first time since March 2020 when he beat Kevin Lee. Back then he was just a rising contender. Since then he's become champion, defended his belt, beaten legends, and turned into one of the greatest lightweights ever. Now, he's coming home a hero. The matchup itself is interesting. Oliveira is ranked number 4, Fiziev is number 11. And normally I don't like these big ranking jumps unless the lower ranked guy is coming off a big top 10 win. Fiziev's last fight was against Bahaman, is not exactly a contender, but Fiziev has been extremely active. This will be his 3rd fight since March and his 3rd attempt in 4 fights to face someone in the top 5. The UFC might be rewarding him for stepping up against Gitska on short notice and for simply being willing to fight anyone. And let's be honest, lightweight is full of fighters turning fights down. Fiziev, Oliveira, Gurmrohan, Hooker, among the few who'll fight anyone. Gamrot's been ducked multiple times, Hooker's injured, and Oliveira wanted Brazil. Fiziev was available and ready. For Fiziev, the atmosphere in Brazil will be intense. The crowd is notoriously passionate and hostile toward visiting fighters. That can be a mental test in itself. But with Oliveira coming off that Topuria loss, Fiziev has a real shot at breaking into the top 5 and maybe even earning a title shot if the division stays stalled. Stylistically, Fiziev is one of the best first-round fighters in the UFC, fast, explosive, technical, and hard to take down. His weakness has been cardio in long fights, and this is 5 rounds. Oliveira's pressure could be a factor, but it's also risky because he tends to walk into shots and Fiziev's counters are sharp. If Oliveira fights the same way he did against Topuria, he could get caught early again. Prime for prime, I'd pick Oliveira in a 5-rounder, but given the quick turnaround after a brutal KO, I'm leaning Fiziev by knockout within 2 rounds. The odds will likely favor Fiziev. He's been favored in almost every fight of his career. Regardless of who wins, this fight should push the division forward, and hopefully it forces the rest of the lightweight contenders to finally accept fights instead of waiting around for the perfect matchup.